So, welcome everyone. Let's take a moment of silence before we read the opening aspiration. Just in gathering ourselves in the body, bringing the mind in the body. So, if anyone would like to read the opening aspiration, please unmute.
Mm. So, with boundless compassion and wisdom, may I work for the welfare of all. May we be free from hunger and discord and have joy and a world at peace.
Thank you. So, last we were just finishing up verse 3, and last 2 points were remaining. So, I'll just pull it up and we'll just go through that first before we jump to the verse 4. So this was the verse: when unfavorable places are abandoned, disturbing emotions gradually fade. When there are no distractions, positive activities naturally increase. As awareness becomes clearer, confidence in the Dharma grows. To rely on solitude is the practice of a Bodhisattva. So just while I was reading it, unfavorable places would also be the domain of our storylines. When we choose not to be there, then we notice the scenes, like we bring ourselves to the breath or maybe chant some name, or however, remove ourselves, step back from those storylines and repeated loops of thoughts and feelings. I think those would also be favorable places, because they are like inner unfavorable places. We have talked about it, nothing new, but just to remind ourselves that it's not that only outer places where maybe chaos is there, disturbance is there, but also my own going into those domains. Also, when I step back, when I renounce that, when I don't any longer have any taste left for that, then also I observe, and it's very tangible observation, that we do see that our disturbing emotions, they fade. Yeah. And today I was just like, I put my Bluetooth, this earpod in my ears, and then I had a sip of water. So I was just like, how do you rinsing my mouth with that water, and immediately I did not take it in. I just stayed with that curve, like whatever was there in the mouth of water. And since the pods were there, then I realized that they were like, when we go to sea and we on the beach, the water washes, you have the froth, and there is like a little sound from the froth which stays. So I noticed that noise, that sound in my mouth, and I suddenly realized that I never noticed it earlier. I do this every time, but since now, because of this, the outer noise is not there. Hence, the inner, whatever, I can tune into, which is there every time, but I can't usually hear that. So I was just connecting that with how as Tignathan shares, that when you shut the doors of senses and go within, then you kind of commune with yourself and do the greatest benefit to yourself. When you're coming back home and shutting the door of the senses for some time. Yeah, anything here? Anyone before we jump up to the last page?
Yeah, one thing that came to me when you
Yeah.
said tangible, right? Like
Hmm.
there are certain things that always take us at certain places. Like I say this, right? That, oh, that person always does this and it really annoys me. Or, like there are certain triggers that remind you of certain people. And then again, a river of another thing open up and you end up being there. And once you start seeing this, then it's very funny and it's mechanical that the emotions want to feel sad, and yet because you can see how every time A leads to B, you are not able to, even if you want to, I mean you can obviously still, but now that you can see it, it's not possible for you to, वो जैसे कहते हैं ना बहाव में बह जाना, because you could see कि अच्छा अब ये हो रहा है, देखना अब अंदर से ये ट्रिगर होगा, so that once it becomes tangible and it's not just up in the air anymore, it's very easy. It's difficult then to just fall then. I mean, we still can. हमारी तो कोई height नहीं है गिरने की. And yet, I mean, so many places I have seen that once the pattern is recognized, right? Like, say in maths, we have equations. Similarly, I feel that every being, if we are mindful, we have our equations. Okay, when this happens, I usually go there. When that happens, that song triggers this. That kind of tea triggers that. And then मैं अपना वो चाय का गिलास लेके या फिर तो एक सैड सॉन्ग में बैठ सकती हूँ, या फिर I can say, oops, there I go again, and I stop. So this is again abandoning those places, right? Which I know very well don't give me anything, just एक just puppetry kind of feel होती है उसके बाद में, which is again not in a weird way or a judgmental way, but just the mechanical nature of things once when we are able to see again and again in different aspects. It's good to see and then use it, right? To step back. Okay, that song is coming. Let me just change the channel or shut it off. I don't want to go there. So it's as tangible as anything that we do, that if I eat this, मुझे acidity होती है, kind of a thing. But that I take it as solid. This I take it as wishy-washy, but it doesn't have to be wishy-washy. It is as solid as.
Yeah, I kind of have been thinking this. So lately, there have been three people I've been dealing with where the response has not been up to the expectation I was having. And I've been holding certain amount of, you can say, anger, animosity, or probably whatever that feeling is. But it's definitely something which was making me uncomfortable. So what Taru just said reminded me of that. So I've been holding it for, I think, almost 2 to 3 weeks now. But just the question today that who's getting bothered here? It's me. And why are you holding it? I want to justify myself. I'm in the right. और मिल क्या रहा है अंडा अंडा क्या नेगेटिव में जा रहे हो खुद ही अपने आप को परेशान कर रहे हो और दूसरे क्यों बिहेव करें तुम्हारी एक्सपेक्टेशन भैया किसने बोला कि उनको ऐसे ही बिहेव करना है सो आई जस्ट abandoned today and I know it was me who gained out of it so I was suffering I gained किसी का कोई नुकसान नहीं है
I think for a long time we do have expectation that like there is a promise in going in these domains. Now we are seeing them as unfavorable, but earlier they were not unfavorable. Like I knew that they will give me something. Some expectation of some satisfaction was there, and that is the, and even if I right now say that I am not able to let go of it, although I want to, I think there we can actually catch our honesty or it's like dishonesty, that although I say that I want to let go of it, but it is still holding a promise for me. Something, some satisfaction I'm still craving from that particular person, place, situation. And that's why I still go there again and again, knowing that I torture myself, knowing that I'm getting an anda, and yet I keep going. And, it takes really a long time and many, many experiences before we say that now it's enough. Like, it's also, I feel, an act of kindness towards myself when I say that now it's enough. It's, अगर एक जगह पे कंटीली झाड़ी है और मैं जब भी जाती हूँ, it's bleeding and I'm getting wounded, and I yet go again and again. And now if I stop going, so it's an act of kindness. What you were sharing, yeah, both of you, yes. And as they say that even in Buddhism, they say that loving kindness first towards yourself, and this is loving kindness. That now, since I realize that it's not giving me anything, why should they behave in the way that I expect? Of course, reasonably also it's not correct. And now I don't want to wound and bleed. So loving kindness first towards myself, then only that we can extend it to others. Yeah.
So the moment I was kind to myself, I also experienced the expansion of my own heart. Those three people now are back into my circle. I can reach out to them, talk to them. So exactly, first I could be kind to myself कि कांटों की झाड़ियों में नहीं जाना, और उनको भी कांटों की तरह देखना बंद हो गया उसके बाद. So I could extend the kindness to them. And like seriously, जैसे तरु says with her big smile, इतनी बेवकूफी लगती है ना जब ये नजर आने लग जाता है कि कितने बड़े बेवकूफ हैं हम.
And two things here. One thing, when you said that this is kindness, right? I don't see that. Usually something happens, I react in a certain way, then there is a justification that I give, right? I am right. I am right. I am right. And I feel this is me standing for myself. I mistakenly think that this is me standing for myself, but that is just ego, just saying, अरे ऐसे कैसे? जब मैं ठीक हूँ तो kind smallest things like to have the last word. If you know, okay, somebody has made a mistake, to make sure that you pinpoint, but यहाँ पे कमी रह गई थी. Even if you don't mean any ill will, just the fact that, see, I caught your mistake, or see, I could see through it, I feel this is me being smart, or this is me being right. But kindness trims over right. Kindness trims over corrections. Kinds, like very strongly, if one doesn't know a lot of times that this is kindness, कि stopping myself कि अरे मुझे मिल क्या रहा है उसको prove करके या ये last word करके, और जो मिल रहा है that's actually like जैसे होता है ना कोई poison type एक addiction और उसको solidify हो रही है, rather I'm doing myself harm than any good in the field of right. And when Manmeet was sharing this, I remember when I met Acharya Prashant for the first time face to face, there's one couple of things I remember. The strongest being ke, let everything else be okay, but protect your peace as a lioness protects her cub. तो उसमें फिर ये सारी एक एक सेंटेंस राइट या फिर एक मंत्र कि स्टैंड बाय योर पीस लाइक अ लायनेस प्रोटेक्ट्स हर कब, बाकी सब ओके है. तो उसमें जैसे जब मैं ये ईगो गेम्स में शुरू हो जाता हूँ, है ना, कि ये ऐसा कर करता है, उसने वैसा करा, लेट मी शो, लेट मी से, लेट मी हैव द लास्ट वर्ड, आई डोंट इवन रियलाइज दैट आई एम गिविंग अवे माय पीस एंड आई एम स्टैंडिंग फॉर प्रूविंग थिंग्स. So I think it's a very subtle thing, but once again, when you start seeing कि अरे I have, okay, maybe I'm right, but I feel horrible, है ना, मतलब वो पीस कहीं पे चली जाती है when you're playing these games. And I think that's a very simple thing, very hard to do, but once you realize that okay, अरे मैंने फिर छोड़ दिया, अरे मैंने फिर छोड़ दी अपनी जिद के लिए, अपनी इमेज के लिए, अपने रिस्पेक्ट के लिए, तो you at least know कि ठीक है मैं खुद ही छोड़ के जा रहा हूँ, then you can make a choice. Yeah, thank you.
So last time we were here, these four thoughts are a powerful practice in themselves. We had touched upon the first two, contemplating our precious human life, so that we are grateful for our existence. And usually, when we are totally living from the emotional being, which is the vital being, our desiring self, which is always wanting, wanting, wanting this person to behave in such a way, this thing, that thing, relationship, work, all the demands that we have, when we are living from that, and then when they are not getting fulfilled, and somebody says to me that, oh, you have a precious human life, I won't feel like that. So we have to know that wherever we are, that's how we feel. Everyone says, "क्या precious है इस life में? What is so precious? Stupidity. I don't even want to live because I'm not being gratified. I'm not getting what I want." So that's just the desire self. We are not the desire self, and that's what the journey that has to be made. And that is why human birth is a precious birth, because this journey can happen here, from desiring self to finding our true being. This journey can happen, which is an act of courage in itself. So, contemplating impermanence and death, this also we touched upon, so that we seize the opportunities of this life right now. And this also would be resonating with those people who are at least now having such an understanding that no, I can't bank upon anything for my solidity and contentment. Everything in my life is fleeting. Even the closest relationships will fleet away. The most precious loved ones, they will maybe change their priorities, change places, or maybe I lose them, they leave the body. So I can't rely on anything which can be touched, felt, seen, in the outer grosser world, because things are changing, which is also a good thing, because if I have a toothache right now, since things are impermanent, then I can be happy about it, that okay, this too shall pass. So this also we had a little bit touched upon. And whenever I look at, whenever we were talking about last time, that we can actually be grateful that when we are finding ourselves, this is missing in my life, that person is not behaving this way, but then suddenly we realize, but my body is functional, my intellect is functional, there's so many things which I can still do, achieve, or whatever, indulge in good things, that they uplift me. Like Manmeet just shared that something in me expanded, you know so that expansion is our birthright, which has to go on and on. So yes. And third was, which we can touch today, contemplating karma, or the law of cause and effect, so that we understand that our every action impacts ourselves and others. So, yeah, we can take up reflections on this.
The first two that we took up last time, like if I'm just reading it now, they are really one, right? Although they are in separate 2 points, like just precious human life, right? Precious because it can end anytime, right? Precious because it's not permanent, like kind of being grateful for what it is because it's not impermanent. It can be one point, it is one point, but just to elaborate, it's written into, yeah, just. And I think about third, what we were just discussing, right? That what leads me where? Like, say, the example that we were discussing, that how when I go here, I know that will lead me there. And that is kindness. That is again part of it, right? I see. where I end up. I see where I end up. And when I see, I can step back and then can not be part of this cycle for that particular instance. And this also reminds me that, Jetsunmula, the last time we were hearing her speak, she was saying, like, somebody had asked about karma, that what if I don't, is it possible that I do nothing, right? Like, I don't create good karma or bad karma. So that karma stops acting on me. So she had said that, first of all, we have so much from before that even if we don't do anything right now, it would not make a difference. And it's not possible to do anything right now. The point of karma, she said, is just the identification of I. So karma is created by who is creating the karma. And if there is no one, if that identification with the doer is not there, then you are out of the karmic cycle. So she had said that create as much good as you can. Still you are in the circle because, like you cannot stop from creating anything. And if you have to, lead a good life, lead a good life.
I think that's why we have, in with mother's words on charity and this helping humanity. We see that she did not very much encourage social service, specifically because of this. What you were sharing, that most of the time, since we have the doership like sticking to us all the time, many a times these words can become a very good pretense. These acts of kindness can become a very good pretense, and still the ego is doing it, and it's even a bigger ego now. See, I'm doing good. So, and that is why we hear again and again about the right intention or the right attitude, which is the place you are coming from. And outwardly, if it's a charitable act, like maybe you are serving food to people or whatever, but if there is a I associated in that, I am serving, so that still goes into the the burden of karma rather than the actual negation of it or being from the right center. Yeah. And very simple, like day-to-day mundane acts, which may not carry any weightage. We may not think it's a social act or some charity. There, if the center of operation changes, and if we selflessly are doing, not even realizing that we are doing it selflessly, just that the doership is not there, that I am doing, and that can make really a big difference. And that's all inward thing, nobody else would get to know. Yeah.
What just Taru said, that as long as you identify yourself as the doer, you'll never be
Yeah.
free of karma.
Mhm.
I'm thinking that how it is very commonly said, karam kar, phal ki ichha mat kar.
Yeah.
So when you stop identifying yourself as you are the doer, तो आप तो खुद ही फ्री हो गए ना उस फल से। फिर जब आप कर ही नहीं रहे हो तो आप फल की इच्छा करोगे ही क्यों? And you will continue to do what is expected to be done by the universe. So
Yeah.
it's not just mukti from the karma, it's the mukti from the self.
Yeah. Yeah.
तो वैसे ही निजात मिल जाएगी।
Bilkul, bilkul. Yes. Yes. Sri Aurobindo talks about this. He uses the word Jivan Mukta, that it is possible to be in the world, engaged in whatever, relations or work and everything, and yet be free of all that. What you were just sharing, elaborating upon that. So it is possible to live a life which is not full of desires, and yet the right action, the right work is happening. Because the act itself is the phal, one can say. You don't need, it's not a means to an end, that I am surrendering so that after 2 years I should be here and there, like inwardly realized or whatever. I am surrendering because this is the right thing to do, and there is a joy in surrender, and just for the joy of surrendering, you surrender. There is no thing as means to an end, that the usual mind thing that भगवान को मैंने बड़ा पूजा बट मुझे मिला क्या तो मिलने की अब कोई इच्छा नहीं रही, जस्ट वो पूजना ही एनफ है, कर्म ही फल है जैसे कहते हैं. तो यस.
आई थिंक दैट दैट इज सो रिलेटेबल कि मैं आज सरेंडर कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि मुझे कुछ उम्मीद है, कुछ मिल जाएगा मुझे, चाहे उसमें थोड़े महीने लग जाएं या साल लग जाए, पर अभी भी सरेंडर इज ऑल्सो टू गेट समथिंग. इट्स नॉट द जॉय ऑफ सरेंडर इटसेल्फ. तो अगर फल की इच्छा मैंने छोड़ी हुई है तो ओके, आई बिल्ट अप माई पेशेंस. Earlier, I used to wait for a day, 2 days, now months, and maybe years. Yet, एक फल अभी भी कहीं टंगा हुआ है जो मुझे चाहिए. तो अगर आज मैं इस सेशन में भी बैठ के अगर कुछ पाने की कोशिश कर रही हूँ, तो ये मुझे कहीं लेके जाएगा, कुछ मिल जाएगा मुझे. It's not just the moment itself, this what we experiencing.
So usually we are looking for outward results, outward effects. Like there is a thing that we do and then we wait for that outward result. And they mean a lot for us, like a smile for from someone, or maybe some money, some respect, whatever is gross, like you can, it's very tangible. So Sri Aurobindo says that slowly as we grow in our consciousness and we grow, maybe in just paraphrasing it, that when we grow more closer to ourselves and open our inward vision, then the things that are inward, they are also going on. Now we become available to them, and they are as concrete as the outer realities. Like my thoughts for me now would be as concrete as this thing which I can see, touch, and like I can feel the solidity of it. And slowly he says that this has to happen because now consciousness, which is in which I see the thoughts, feelings, and everything, that is becoming more concrete. Earlier, everything that I touch and feel by senses, only that is concrete. अंदर कुछ भी नहीं है. As if कि जो भी मैं feel करती हूँ सब बाहरी चीजों के through ही feel करती हूँ. But now, even when the bahari may not be there, now I realize that, oh my God, there is a world within, which is very, very tangible. It's not that I can't feel it. So your inward sense, inward feeling, and everything grows, which is a part of this process. And now we develop the capacity to tweak it so that a good life can be lived. That as we were, all of us were sharing that when I listen to that song or when I go there in my thoughts, what happens inside? So I'm becoming more conscious of that inside, so that the temple can be kept clean and free of that garbage, which is mostly there, which so far was not garbage, but very precious. So such is, again, we go back to the first point, that such is the preciousness of human life, that wow, so much adventure is possible. And that's why mother says that when I was little, I would not go outside to see circus or events because I would find so much joy within, in the world within, that I would not feel the need to go out and watch a circus. So much of circus is going on within. So I think this can actually, we can do, take up a lot of points on this very thing that we are touching upon, that whatever I think, feel is actually a sukshma karma. It's a subtle karma. Whatever I'm thinking, maybe I have ill will against someone. It may be very justified ill will. That person may have definitely done something factually bad to me. Uh, so not looking for justification, but if I have ill will, it is actually a sukshma karma, and it will have its effect sooner or later. The very effect which is immediate is that it spoils my being. And then longer run, we have other effects, like it may lead to an illness, or it may just disturb my mental balance, emotional balance. So that would be later, and other impacts at other levels. But the immediate effect of the cause and effect is that the moment I think bad about anything, or being judgmental, critical, harsh on myself, others, you know, in the very moment, it tells me whether it was the right moment or not. Just like earlier Manmeet was sharing, that it expanded me. So that, that is our signal that it was the right movement. Way to go, way to go. And whatever suffocates me whenever I'm thinking about ruminating about the storyline and I don't feel good about it, so then I can immediately stop noticing that I'm going there, so that I can stop that cause and effect. And I'll still be in cause and effect, but it will be now a beneficial effect of if I stop that thinking. And this can be actually discussed even globally, how we take care of the planet Earth. That whatever little change we can make in our life day to day, consume less, recycle, reduce, minimize, too much of buying and consumerism, that impacts the whole planet. We may not know. We may think that, oh, mere kare kya hoga? So many people are doing, but we don't know the impact of that one drop that it can have. Yeah. Anything? Any last comments here?
Yeah, in the commentary of some text in Upanishads, I remember hearing that they had said that, we feel that there is a person who wants to hurt someone, right? And he eventually goes and he hits him, and the person gets killed in the process, and then he's jailed for life, and that was his punishment. But they said that the moment the thought came that let me kill him, even if he is able to stop himself and that's it, it ends there, the thing has been noted. Like what you were talking about, the Sukshma karma, like it's done. So that is considered as, like the thought is considered as an action, like it has consequences. Not saying it has actions like materialistic actions, but it would be recorded, and I totally forgotten. I just got reminded while growing up, my buaji, my father's sister, she used to tell us, and I think it's again something that you tell kids. It's written somewhere concrete that there are two people. She used to give them a name. I forget what. One is sitting on your right shoulder, the other is sitting on your left shoulder. One is recording all the good things you are doing, and the other is recording all the bad things, any thoughts, any actions, and all. So don't think even for a second that anything is being missed. Like they are your personal recorders. So just it was a good visual as a child to see what to do, what not to do. And we somehow sometimes need these reminders, right? Like even say in Vedantic text, a lot of mention of say स्वर्ग और नरक इज मेंशन राइट कि ये करोगे तो स्वर्ग जाओगे ये करोगे तो नरक जाओगे अब उसकी जरूरत नहीं है but because we understand like if I only understand the language of this will given to me and this will be taken away then everything that needs to be explained to me at least initially has to be done that way right ये मिलेगा ये छिन जाएगा ये मिलेगा ये हो जाएगा it might not even have an ounce of truth, but that's the only thing I know how to hear or how to take it. So that's how it's headed. So this, I feel karma a lot of times. I also feel it's more, I don't know how it works, but it feels it's more just, sudhar jao, purify, just mind what you're doing, purify your being. Avarna. Ye.
I think it may also be just to, as you were sharing, remind ourselves, because there's so much glitter and attraction everywhere for us, that it is the reminders are very much needed. Otherwise, we can actually totally be here and there and not knowing why we are here at all. So reminders are very much required. In, as Kabirji shares in one of the couplets, he uses that you must fear. Now, mother says, I think we can have a discussion on that. That mother is saying, be fearless, do not fear. But it's in another context that Kabirji uses that you must fear what you were sharing, Swarg and Narak. Because if you fear that if you do bad or think bad, then what may happen? You will at least try to be more than yourself. And that would be enough and would lead the path further. So, in the beginning, maybe fear of that sort actually is a part of our path. And that is why we, in older like religions, we have like this concept of heaven and hell, which is actually needed in that stage of consciousness because I don't understand otherwise. You know, so at least चलो ये सोच के कि I'll go to hell, I would not go there, in my head or wherever, because that's what I understand, like in my gross consciousness. Yeah, and even I think Alokda many a time mentions that the idea of a god that punishes, that also has a purpose because we don't understand otherwise that why should we not just exploit everyone, we all kind of consciousnesses we have. So in the very thought of that, okay, I don't want to have that punishment. I remember when I was little, I clearly remember somebody, I don't know, maybe I read it somewhere or heard from somewhere, I don't know. But I remember that it was like an image of kadhai and like खूब सारा तेल कढ़ाई में and as if they're frying you. I don't know how it came to me, who told me. But people said that in Narak, this is what happened. They fry you. That was for me more than funny. It was like, oh my God. So I feel that that kind of thing is required. Yeah, in the beginning at least. Yeah. Okay, so maybe we can take number 4 also today. Contemplating the suffering of cyclic existence, samsara, so that we are no longer entranced by worldly things. Hmm. I think here, to me, apart from many a times whenever we talk of samsara or samsar, we think of, okay, this world. Like, I don't want to come back to this world. But parallelly, masters have also said that the world is in your mind. And whenever we are stuck in duality, running towards pleasure, running away from suffering, wanting this, not wanting that, then we are stuck in that chakki, which Kabirji uses as an example. चलती चाकी देख के दिया कबीरा रोए, दो पाटन के बीच में साबुत बचा न कोई. So whenever I am lost in the dualistic mind, wanting this, not wanting that, wanting pleasure, not wanting pain, wanting respect, not wanting rejection, wanting a smile, not wanting neutrality, then it grinds me. And we all have tasted that grinding. That's what we were sharing earlier, that expansion and suffocation. So whenever we are operating from that dualistic level, uh, we are suffering. So contemplating the suffering of cyclic existence, this duality, dualistic mode, so that we are no longer entranced by worldly things. So once I have lived enough in that goal, and reached really nowhere in terms of my satisfaction within, I think then slowly in time through our experiences, there comes what they call udasinta, That you now know that that contentment that you are looking for will not be have from these things that you are running after. So one gains an understanding that now I can stop. And that entrancement and that enchantment which used to be there earlier, that वहाँ मिलेगा, वहाँ मिलेगा, वहाँ मिलेगा, इसके साथ मिलेगा, उसके साथ मिलेगा. Once we have ran enough, and that's why that couplet by Kabir is so relevant, important, which we come to again and again. दौड़त दौड़त दौड़िया जहाँ लगी मन की दौड़, दौड़ थके मन स्थिर बया. So I never forget that he said दौड़ थके मन स्थिर बया. So दौड़ना is very important, because before that I don't get convinced. So it may be Taru's experience that she's telling me, don't run, you won't get anything. But I would say, no, but I haven't ran enough. I want to run. Maybe I get, you didn't get, so such as, and that's why these kind of things we can't talk, especially to younger generation, because for them it is important to run, run for what they want to have, like passions, so that at least that tamas is not there in our life. And through our experience of running here and there, we understand that, oh, I may get this and that, but even after I have many cars or good property and whatever I wanted to have, yet I'm seeking something. If we are honest, we would know. And that seeking cannot be satisfied with any relation, any workplace thing, any power, name, fame, respect. Worldly things cannot satisfy. But I think we need to have all these experiences before we come to like a conviction that wahan nahi milega. Only then that real turning within can happen in udasinta, which is a very positive word in spiritual literature. And here I think a bit of honesty is also required on my part, because if I don't see that I do suffer when I am in the dualistic mode, running after this and not this, not being in the present at all, it makes me suffer. So when I'm not justifying, when I'm seeing it factually, then I think something can reveal itself to me. But if I keep on denying that, no, this suffering is because there is a promise, then we still have to run further. And again, I think there is a vital disappointment that comes initially um, when we read this word, the second line, we are no longer entranced by worldly things. So people would say that जीने का मजा ही खत्म हो जाए मतलब जिए क्यों फिर. But that is, I think, that's the fun of being with Mother Shri Aurobindo, because that's only a vital disappointment which is bound to come on the way as we dissociate ourselves from the vital self. That I am not this desiring self which is always wanting pleasure, 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 pleasure. And when we dissociate from that, in the beginning, the silence within, the solitude within, or the wanting to be, not wanting, being left alone, actually feels like, and that's why so many songs are written, like Devdasi songs, that are written mostly, that mujhe gum mila ya ye mila, because that's the vital disappointment which will come on the way. But we don't have to get stuck on that thing. That's just one step of the ladder. After that, once we become acclimatized to that solitude within, and we begin to cherish it, enjoy it, then we see that it's full of potential. It's not an empty like blankness. It's full of immense possibilities which I don't even know how they will unfold. But in the beginning, since we are so used to keep the house so crowded all the time with guests, in the beginning when I find that solitude, it can be disappointing, and that's okay. Good one. Good one, Manmeet. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy to write that poetry, you're right, which mostly comes from that vital part. Maybe you can slowly begin to write some, Bhagat Singh or Jhansi Ki Rani type poetry, God knows. The kind
That's
of
why I
poetry can
told you, both of you guys, that I don't, you are snatching away everything from me. Even my poetry is taken away. I'll be writing Kabir Bhajan.
yeah, I mean, you can sing also, maybe. No?
I have
It
been
would be nice.
asking to sing कि अगर अब सब कुछ छीन ही लिया है तो फिर यही पूरी तरह से कर दो. मतलब अब छीन
Mm.
नहीं लगे तो फिर अच्छे से छीनो ना. तो am I allowed to read a Kabir Bhajan here?
Yeah, yeah, why not? Go ahead.
मन फूला फूला फिरे जगत में कैसा नाता रे. माता कहे ये पुत्र हमारा, बहन कहे वीर हमारा मेरा. भाई कहे ये भुजा हमारी, नारी कहे नर मेरा. पेट पकड़ के माता रोवे, बाह पकड़ के भाई. लपट झपट के तिरिया रोवे, हंस अकेला जाई. जब तक जीवे माता रोवे, फेर करे जगवासा. चार गजी चादर मंगवाई, चढ़ा काठ की घोड़ी. चारों कोने आग लगाई, फूंक दियो जस होरी. हाड़ जरे जस लाकड़ी, केस जरे जस घासा. सोना ऐसी काया जर गई, कोई न आया पासा. घर की तिरिया ढूंढन लागी, ढूंढ फिरी चहुदेशा. कहे कबीर सुनो भाई साधो, छोड़ो जग की आशा.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I think we have heard a different version of the same song, which I think you can find it by क्यों तन मान तारे एक दिन माटी में मिल जाना. There are many versions of that. So yeah, thank you for singing with us.
Okay, one thing I've noticed several times. Say I am sitting with a friend and I'm realizing that we don't resonate anymore, right? Like, why am I here? I'm asking myself. And yet, if a thought come to my mind that this is probably the last time now we are meeting, right? This makes no sense. I feel a pain that I am giving it up. I noticed it a couple of times, and one of the times I said, okay, yahi ruk ja. Okay, so no, this is not the last time we are meeting. We'll meet more time. Then the question was, but I'm not enjoying meeting him. So then I was like, okay, then this is the last time you're meeting him. So then the pain started. Then I said, okay, if the pain is there, no, no, we'll meet 10 more times. So then it was like, it was like that I am not, even if I'm not liking something, under the pretext of I am giving something up, the pain comes. So a lot of times my interest, so-called interest or circle of friends or things, because एक आदत है भाई जो लोअर वाइटल व्हाट यू वर टॉकिंग अबाउट, एक आदत है कि मुझसे छूटा या मुझे छोड़ना पड़ेगा, उसमें आई फॉरगेट कि मैं छोड़ रही हूँ बिकॉज अब मुझे इसमें रस नहीं आ रहा है, मुझे इसमें मजा नहीं आ रहा है, मुझे चाहिए ही नहीं. But I lie to myself, a part of me lies to my own self, saying that, oh, I'm giving up, oh, it hurts, man, it hurts. So usko bhi I feel, if one can look at it, कि that is also a mechanical trigger. Not, matlab, I'm not judging or saying it's a low thing by saying mechanical. But I'm just saying I have a tendency to cry out anytime I have to give up something, even though a part of me wants to give it up. It's still hurting. At times we take out clothes to give away. And yet, कई बार जब दे रहे होते हैं तो ये रख लेती हूँ, ये maybe I'll wear, just a kind of a different example of the same thing, knowing fully well I will not wear it. But there is some attachment, there is some, matlab some complicated something there. So that helps. when you counter back कि अच्छा नहीं छोड़ना करो, फिर उल्टा और खराब लगता है कि नहीं नहीं करना भी नहीं है, you know, there's this thing that we just, it's, yeah.
I think stickiness, basically, you know, what you were sharing, that whatever is part of our life, since we are sticky by nature, which has to be transcended, everything becomes part of my identity. And as you were rightly, you know, giving a very good example, that even if I have not touched that thing for 10 years now, and now I'm wanting to give away, even then it would cause a little disappointment or hurt, because it has like, since I am sticky, I just stick to everything in my life. Good, bad, I don't care. Good, bad doesn't matter. Since I'm just like full of stickiness. तो कीचड़ भी चिपक जाता है उस पे, कागज भी चिपक जाता है, यू नो, जो गंद वाला रास्ता। और जब वो निकलता है, यू नो, जब वो चीज निकल रही होती है, तो हाउ शहद से अगर कुछ आप उठाओ, यू नो, इट्स लाइक as if you're pulling it apart. So Sri Aurobindo in Savitri actually makes, you know, this metaphor that his his mortal being was as if like taken away, as if you take a piece of flesh out of something. Because I have lived such a long time with that, you know, being so sticky. Yeah. And
But you know, I
so that is,
put it under this false thing, right? That falsehood is there कि I'm a very intelligent person. You know, मतलब I'm just saying कि when I look at these movements, then I'm not be able to lie to myself. Then I can say कि अरे, you know, एक उसमें भी डिस्गस्ट सा खुद पे भी आने लग पड़ता है कि यार तेरा ड्रामा फिर शुरू हो जाता है, right? Like one can look at it like one looks at other people and one can see, oh, again, you know, they are going down the same road. So then it just helps me in not believing in that stickiness fully, because that pull feels painful. But when you see कि पकड़ना ही नहीं है, जाने ही देना है, तो फिर वो कैसे वो रोए उस पेन पे, अपने से जो वो हट जाता है कि that I feel is, it helps you in not following down the same traps of, you know, that drama and stuff that I am used to. It doesn't feel like drama. It's painful. Yeah. Please, you were saying.
For me, it's also fear of groundlessness. So when I'm not being sticky, when there is clarity that I need to let go. So if I let go of this, then what? What do I have? That's what I am experiencing now, on and off. पोइट्री छूट गई, लोग छूट रहे हैं। लोगों के मामले में एक और चीज होती है मेरे साथ, विच इज दिस इनहेरेंट बिलीफ कि हम सभी एक एनर्जी हैं और हम सभी, you know, there is a goodness in all of us, which I'm also trying to expand in myself, right? Similarly, others have the capacity to expand. So in the camouflage of liking and disliking, I'm rejecting people. तो अभी रुक जाऊं, अभी थोड़ा और देखूं, थोड़ा और समझने की कोशिश करूं, लेट गो करूं अपनी प्रेजुडिस को, जजमेंट्स को। एंड मैं शायद, जैसे जो एग्जाम्पल तरुण ने बोला, 4 बारी और मिलके शायद कुछ अच्छा मिल जाए मुझे। These two things I just realize are also my reasons for stickiness and for not letting go, and the fear of groundlessness and wanting to dig the goodness out of others, letting go of my prejudices.
I think we don't need to make conclusive decisions about anything, that, oh, you know, I am rejecting this person, not anymore now. I think उसकी कोई जगह ही नहीं है, उसकी कोई जगह जरूरत भी नहीं है उसकी। Right now, I may feel that, okay, now I feel like over it, over this relationship. I don't want it anymore. It has served whatever in my life. Now, I'm not enjoying it. But this conclusive thing that we make in our head, that बस इसके बाद मैं, you know, बस मेरा त्याग हो गया जैसे, तो I think उसकी कोई जरूरत नहीं है, because life में, if we look back, things take place without any sense or logic mostly, and right now I may be in a state of consciousness where it feels like decisive कि बस हो गया, you know, आज के बाद मैं पीछे मुड़ के भी नहीं देखूंगी। और मे बी 1-2 साल बाद मैं फिर से पीछे मुड़ के देख रही हूँ, बट मैं आई एम नॉट द सेम पर्सन एनी मोर, नो, आई हैव चेंज्ड सिंस वी आर इवॉल्विंग बीइंग्स। सो मुझे लगता है कि वो भी सिर्फ एक वाइटल का ही पार्ट है, which enjoys this sadness and the disappointment. And on the other hand, there is a lot of prospect in people who are mostly run by vital, like their emotional part is mostly in front, because mother says that it's the vital which gives energy to everything. Like, for example, if somebody says, oh, you have to run a marathon, let's prepare. And if you are emotionally involved, then see how good a preparation you would do. So on one hand, it's a very good master, like a slave, like it's a very good servant. But when it becomes the master of the being, that we are run by the vital, we have no control over it, then we become a slave of it. And that's why all the mood swings happen. That if mood is going down, then I also go down. I don't see it as a separate thing from me. That okay, mood may be going down, but I don't want to go down. You know? So I just distract myself with something uplifting and I cheer up. I don't want to lose my time in going down with that bad mood or whatever may have come. So at times we are able to do that, at times we are not. But it's good to dissociate from time to time ourselves from the moods that are there, because it's a very good stepping back from the vital being, emotional being, which usually is the master. And if it becomes our servant, then it's really very beautiful, because wherever you have devotion, like this is what I really want to do, I want to offer myself here, that you would do with lots of enthusiasm. You'll put that energy there, heart there, all because of the vital. Now it has become a bhakta. So, so yeah, I wanted to actually share when you were sharing about that pain thing. I reminded myself of words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, where he says that pain will be there. Don't bother much about pain. And no matter how much pain they cause, you just go through that. So something like that. So this, we had read it in Synthesis of Yoga, if you remember. I'm sure you remember more than me. So Sweet Mother, so this is by Sri Aurobindo. This part in inverted comma, somebody is asking clarification on that. The spirit's inner enemies have to be sacrificed in the harsher sense of the word, whatever pain in going they may throw, by reflection on the consciousness of the seeker. So this is exactly what we were talking of, that as if it becomes a part of my being, we are habituated it, and when it goes away, it causes disappointment. I don't know what to do with this space and emptiness that I'm creating in my life. So for some time, it can be a little saddening. And this mother is putting some light on it. So yeah, maybe we can take a bit of it, not all. So mother says that is an experiment you can make if you are just a little conscious. There is something in you which you don't want, something bad. For one reason or another, you don't want it. You want to pull it out. Well, if you identify yourself ever so little with that thing, so you kind of become that sadness or mood or whatever that is there, you feel the pain of extraction. If, on the contrary, you identify yourself with the divine force which comes to liberate you, you feel the joy of the divine grace and you experience the deep delight of the progress you have made. So, in that moment of pain, when something older is being taken away, if I cannot identify with that thing that is being taken away, but with that force which is acting on me and liberating me from my bondage, if I identify with that force, then Mother says, then it becomes delight. That good, this must happen even more, that I will be rid of my limitation. And Mother says, and if you read it fully, so Mother also says that you feel that pain because you identify with that limitation that is being taken away. And if you identify with the expansion that is being given to you, then you would not feel painful. You would rather feel delight. So good to remind that we have this possibility, this choice that we can change the identification. Yeah, so just that. I think the whole thing is very beautiful. But yeah, maybe we can stop here. Any last comments, anyone? Yes, Manni, thank you. Thank you for joining. Bye bye.
I
So,
think here the word liberate was very
hmm,
beautiful, you know, and in everything that we read about pain, suffering, even death,
hmm,
like whenever we see about endings, we
hmm,
see it in a painful way that oh, it's
hmm,
ended. We don't see it
hmm,
as liberation, right?
hmm,
Like
hmm,
even in death, how they say that because you're so limited and sticky to the roles now. It's like a liberation that okay, start fresh. Here, another role, another body.
hmm,
Now, new experiments. Because we weigh ourselves down, right? Our identities, our images, our stories, they limit us, they chock a block limit us, kinds. So,
hmm,
but that word liberate
hmm.
is
Yeah.
very is kind of pointing towards the truth, right? कि दे नहीं रहे हो, liberate हो रहे हो, you know? It's
एक्चुअली वही
same
अपनी
thing
लॉलीपॉप
happening.
छूटती नहीं है ना.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
आई थिंक बार बार यही समझ में आता है कि जैसे मतलब बाय डिफॉल्ट तो लॉलीपॉप ही चाहिए.
हाँ, हाँ.
लिबरेशन लिबरेशन नहीं चाहिए, बाय डिफॉल्ट लॉलीपॉप चाहिए. बट
Mm,
एंड दैट्स व्हाई सो मेनी रिमाइंडर्स आर नीडेड, क्योंकि पढ़ते हैं समझते हैं फिर भूल जाते हैं, पढ़ते हैं समझते हैं फिर भूल जाते हैं.
yeah.
एंड येट दैट लिटिल ड्रॉप must fall on that stony rocky consciousness.
Mm. And that, this groundlessness that she was just referring to, like somehow when that thing comes, I just think that the whole life, my whole existence is groundless, right? Like if somebody has come, don't know from where, if I have to go, don't know when, which second, which instant, and again where, people around me are there and they had left, don't know where. And then when I say कि I'm scared of groundlessness, it feels कि अच्छा फिर जी कैसे रहे हो, right? Like then if actually we don't want groundlessness, then I cannot live the life I'm living distracted by these things when I actually want a solid ground. No?
आई थिंक वही समझ पे इतना पर्दा पड़ा हुआ है ना, क्योंकि वही जो जैसे प्रद्युमन जी कहते हैं ना कि हमारी समझ भी साफ नहीं है. तो क्योंकि कभी इन चीजों की तरफ देखा ही नहीं, और जो हम अपने आसपास जो वॉल्स खड़ी कर देते हैं और लाइफ इंश्योरेंस एंड एवरीथिंग लगता है कि सब सेफ एंड सिक्योर है. तो वो एक्चुअली में उसके बियॉन्ड कभी देखा नहीं जाता ना कि मतलब ये सेफ और सिक्योर होते हुए भी क्या लोग मरते नहीं है, क्या लोग एकदम से कंगाल नहीं हो जाते, है ना. तो मुझे लगता है वो समझ, क्योंकि कभी कोशिश भी नहीं करते, बहुत समय तक तो ऐसे ही जीते हैं ना अपने जो ये क्या कहते हैं आइवरी टावर्स वन कैन से. और धीरे धीरे समझ खुलती है तो फिर दिखता है कि भाई किसको उल्लू बना रहे हो, राइट, लाइक यू वर सेइंग.
Mm,
अगर मैं बोल रही हूँ कि मैं ग्राउंडलेसनेस, इफ आई एम फीलिंग स्केयर्ड एंड इफ आई विद है ना
mm,
लुक एट माय लाइफ, देन वेयर इज द ग्राउंड. बट आई डोंट लुक एट इट, है ना, दैट्स द थिंग. क्योंकि एक तो चोरी भी पकड़ी जाती है और दूसरा नॉट चोरी बट एक्चुअली समझ पे पर्दा है, इट्स लाइक अ हेजीनेस. और समझ पे पर्दा इसलिए भी है क्योंकि आई थिंक ये जो इमोशनल बीइंग है ना, it's like a curtain in front of that mental clarity. And as long as वो जो कबीर का है ना, हृदय माही आरसी और मुख देखा नहीं जाए, मुख तो तभी देखिए जब दिल की दुविधा जाए. तो वो जब इमोशनल हेस हटती है ना, थोड़ी सी क्लैरिटी मिलती है, तब ऐसा लगता है कि है ना कुछ दिखा. मोस्टली तो वही रहते हैं.
mm. Like if I'm even buying a life insurance policy, I'm telling myself, I say, I'm not sure I'll die, but because
Hmm.
people are taking and people take it, let me take it. Right?
Hmm.
Then also I would not take it as a fine.
I'm not sure I will die. Good one.
But I want to ignore the fact of the existence, right? I just
हम
take it
मरना
as
थोड़ी ना है, चलो ले
हाँ,
लो.
ले लो सब ले रहे हैं. Yeah.
फनी. मरते तो वो होंगे, हम थोड़ी ना मरे.
Mm.
कहीं खत्म.
Should we finish this thing that we had the second one or कितना रह गया? You said it's very little,
I
no?
think ये almost done ही था. I'll just bring it up. ये last वाला कर रहे थे ना अभी. Contemplating the suffering of cyclic existence. And now she talks about the next one, next verse.